adventure in Damascus, Syria, to the doors of Oman. So far, we've completed over half of our voyage and now begin a new stage that will take us to visit the region of Dhofar, to cross a good deal of the Ruba Khali Desert, to visit Nizwa and Muscat, and to continue our journey towards the United Arab Emirates. Unlike Yemen, Oman is a country that has been much more open to the world, thanks to a very intense commercial relationship with the Far East and the neighboring countries of the Persian Gulf, and to the discovery of huge amounts of oil. We notice no substantial geographical change when going from one country to another. However, we realize that we've left behind the poverty-stricken Arabia, stuck in the past, to enter the wealthy Arabia, one that focuses on the future. This is Salalah, the capital of the Dhofar region, known in ancient times as the center of the incense trade. Today it is a modern and a peaceful city which enjoys a tropical climate that is cooled by the winds of the Indian Ocean.
But we haven't been in Oman too long, but there is something that I already missed.
Yeah, what's that?
Guess what?
Oh, I can imagine what we already missed. The trash.
I was thinking on in the horns.
Oh, the what?
The horns.
Oh, yeah. It's quiet here. Not only is there no trash, but people don't honk their horns like they do in Yemen.
They do all the time in Yemen.
Very strict about that, which is nice, because in Yemen you can't even sleep. But this is nice. I mean, the country's much cleaner. Food is good here. Life's very calm. It's nice. It's really, really good. Thumraid and Shisur with Ubad. You know, it's going to be interesting. Anyway, it's going to be a lot different than Yemen.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
I mean, don't misunderstand me, but Yemen was great. I mean, you can hardly beat Yemen.
Yeah.
You can hardly beat it anyhow.
We decide to take a couple of days off to rest and relax. The last few days have been really long due to the monotony of the scenery. In a certain way, we've also started to miss everything we've left behind in Yemen. We started our journey with the idea of traveling through Arabia in 4 months, and it bothers me to think that 2.5 months have passed already. Everything experienced up until now has just been incredible.
I don't want to forget any of the moments that we've experienced so far. I realize how lucky I am to be able to travel the world. You know, life is really short and there are so many places to see and visit. It's been 30 years since the beginning of my life as a traveler, and I'm hooked on the desire to continually move. Traveling captures you and gives you the feeling of being alive.
Going around the market, we get the feeling that the Omanis are happy and live a peaceful life. Even women, while still covered, seem much more relaxed and accessible.
Michelle and I never miss the opportunity to visit a marketplace, this time to buy a dish dasha.
I got the light material. This is the heavy material. I got the lighter material over here.
But maybe like this, no? You know better. Okay. You are the tailor.
And it's Saturday.
After resting in Salalah, the time has come to move on. We decided to go north to visit one of the major incense tree areas. It's hard to believe that the thick sap of these trees can provide such a valuable product in India and throughout the entire Mediterranean basin for nearly 3,000 years.
Thank you.
We are in Wadi Duka frankincense tree.
Frankincense, huh?
Many years ago, there is a lot of tree, more than now.
Yeah.
Now a lot of, maybe more, many hundred trees are dead. This is called the white gold.
White gold.
White gold, yes.
And this is
It's
white.
a famous tree.
This is white
Yes.
frankincense, huh?
Yes.
Well, how do they harvest this thing? Do they?
You know, to harvesting, there is a knife,
Yeah.
private knife. They make cut. It's called tawqi'a.
Tawqiya.
Tawqi'a, yes.
See, this is some cut right here. So you can see here where they cut this tree, they take the bark away, they peel the bark off, and then they just cut the tree, and then of course the sap drains in this cut right here. This is before they had black oil, they had white oil, right?
The incense trade made Ubar grow into a great city that was famous amongst the biblical chroniclers. After years, it started to decline and spent centuries buried beneath the stones until it was finally rediscovered by a group of archaeologists in 1990.
Yeah.
The collapse was most likely caused by a change in the climate that left the southern half of Arabia dry and without any water.
But it's just shocking, it's beautiful, this is an oasis, these palm trees, but look, they're all dead too, which tells you the water level's low. There's no water to support these things.
We're crossing through the last inhabited towns before entering into the father of all deserts, the Ruba Khali, or the Empty Quarter, the largest sand desert in the world with a size similar to France. To attempt to cross the desert from here to the Emirates is the great challenge of our expedition. The British adventurer Wilfred Thesiger is the only non-Bedouin who 60 years ago achieved the feat on the back of a camel. He fell in love with the sands and the silence of the Arabian desert and crossed it on several expeditions accompanied by a few Bedouin friends. He was interested in solitude and a relationship with nature, and there wasn't a better place in the world to experience them. He covered 16,000 kilometers and wrote the extraordinary book, Arabian Sands. Thesiger's feat of exploring the Ruba Khali at his own pace, without restrictions, will never again be repeated.
We meet a couple of Pasquale's friends who will accompany us with a support car. They are Brad Bradbury and Peter Rubeck.
Peter, Michelle.
I'm Michelle, nice to meet you.
Peter, hi, how you doing?
We've been almost no issue about
How are you doing?
I'm doing great, thanks.
They both live in Oman and have a lot of experience driving in dunes. For sure, that will be of great help for us. It would be so stupid to try and cross the desert with only one car.
Otherwise, it's quite smooth.
Yeah, we're loaded so heavy, it's crazy.
I think I've got 100 liters of extra fuel in there on jerry cans.
So we both have them. Yeah, that was the way I thought you would do it.
You can do it either way.
Okay. So you do it?
Yeah, the Ethiopians are the greatest for making nothing work.
Okay.
While Brad and Peter take care of the organizational part of the expedition, Michelle and I have a meeting with some men who knew and helped Wilfred Thesiger.
Oh, 2 years? Oh, 2 years is like a while.
The older man is Sheikh Mohammed, who says he sold a camel to Thesiger, of whom he speaks about with respect and veneration. Thesiger was the only Masrani or Christian who the desert tribes allowed to travel the sands, thanks to his sincere respect for the Bedouin culture. They speak of him as Mubarak.
So no any different from Bedouin, just only he's a tall man and just only the face changed and his name is changed from the Singer to Mubarak.
Mubarak.
Mubarak bin London.
Bin London.
Yeah, Mubarak bin London. Every parcel, if you ask About passenger, he does not understand.
Okay. Which, Bin London?
Yeah.
Bin London?
Bin London.
Like England. London, England.
Yeah, England.
So,
London, capital of England.
Yeah. Capital of England.
Yeah.
So
they
it's
say
Mubarak
Mubarak bin London. London is son of London. Son of London, yeah.
Marhaba. Hello.
Okay,
Marhaba.
so did you know that Mubarak bin London was not a Muslim? And that was not a problem.
يعني ما في مشكلة لا
لا
Never. How about up in the sands? Was it?
اول سلطان صديق كل دولة صديق مال سلطان
مسلم رجال متلبس
صديق كل دولة صديق وقابوس صديق كل دولة مريح شعبه منه من كل شيء وصديق يسوي له شعبيات يسوي له زراعة يسوي كل شيء سلطان احسن دولة
وبسوي لها ورقة وبسوي لها كل شيء
زين يلا نبغى بس
يلا حياك
لازم نتكلم معه
لا نتكلم معنا في النداء.
So, the goal here is that, we'll be driving across the desert, but, what we would like to do eventually is come back and actually do the second ever real desert crossing. And we want to do it without GPS, without satellite phone, without television, without anything, just...
Europe possible ticket.
Impossible.
Possible. Never.
ما يهمني
يقدر يمد اياه يروح؟
لا.
He said if you want to go, you sure?
We are tough. We're not Bedouin. Bakit shows us his camels in case we change our minds and feel like changing the four-wheel drive for camel power.
Yeah.
Are these all your camels?
This is him camel.
His camels, yours? Really?
According to the Bedouins, camels are a gift of God, but taking a look at these skinny guys, it's hard to believe.
So if we do a desert crossing, we will not use these camels, we will get... We don't know what to expect in the desert. The Ruba Khali has huge dunes that are tough to cross without a lot of problems.
We have extra petrol tanks, but a lot of water is also needed. We stop at the last water well just before entering the first dunes.
Smell a little bit.
Saudi border, Yemen border.
So Shisa, the Zubar, Shisa, where we started. So we came this way.
We're just coming onto the edge of the sands.
Yeah. So we got a few more kilometers. We'll be in the sands. What I think we should probably do is just head into the sands and just hang a left and go towards the Saudi border.
Good. Now we have water.
Yeah. It's been a good day. Let's go ahead and do it. You guys ready? There it is. Where you go? There.
Plenty to choose from.
This is Wells, huh?
Bakit is still worried about how the vehicles will do in the sands, so he calms himself by singing.
Okay, guys, 2 o'clock.
Are we facing north now?
We're going due north.
But singing doesn't help much. Shortly after we have our first problem, an exhaust pipe has come loose.
Hang on. Let me try and pull it down and we can mate it up down here. That's it. And then we push it up. Okay, we're in.
There it is. Can we just wire that whole thing up?
If you can get it up there, supported, Pascal, then this wire might be long enough to make it.
Well, listen, guys. Give me a break. We're not even the dunes yet. We're 100 yards from the dunes and we're broken down, so it'd be nice to even get to the sand dunes.
Well, we'll be there. We'll be there.
All right, well, let's go ahead and get the vehicles in and let's get up, all right? Okay. From now on, we'll have to drive with a lot less air in the tires, so to avoid getting stuck in the dunes.
Take a local expert 1.5 minutes.
1.5 minutes, okay. Let's try it.
Buckheat presents us with minerals called geodes from the desert. Wow, these are great. Check this out. They're geodes. What they are is, it was in a limestone. Yeah, they're little crystals, probably quartz. And what happens are little vugs in the limestone, and the quartz comes through and it forms crystals on the inside. And this is not limestone. This is another mineral right here, but it's a limestone geode with a thing, and that's wonderful. Yeah, it's unbelievable. Driving through the dunes has its limitations, though. You have to find the exact point of power and speed to avoid getting stuck. But even with experience, it is really hard.
I understand that people who have never been in a desert could think that the landscape is monotonous and boring, but that's not true at all. Actually, we stop every 20 minutes, amazed by what we see. We jump out of the car like children every time we come to a new challenge. I feel like a child, and I take my camera along to capture these photos that would never do justice to the real beauty in front of me.
Keith's a great guy, and I've enjoyed him, but does he have to sing all of the time?
Hey, everybody.
Good, huh?
Eat a banana. Everybody, eat a banana, drink coffee. We've got tea, coffee, cereal.
A good breakfast gets you in the mood to travel for yet another day. I like Buckheat's positive spirit, and it's fun to laugh with him.
يلا هيا بدو وجه الحال الحمد لله بدو صديق بدو انا بدو يا مرحبا يا مرحبا يا هلا والله يا هلا خلينا نربط
يلا والماما يلا ولا على وتوينا
محربا محربا طال عمرك طال عمرك والله اول ما حد يربط
الله
ربطونا بالمرابط
طيلا طيلا يا بدو
الحين ما نطلع ذاك شفته اخر السنين يوم يك سنين شلفه يوم تسوق يوم تسوق يوم تسوق يوم تكون درايفر
بدو
يا البدو يوم يك السنين راس سنين شلفه لا تروح كذا يا بني تقلبنا شلفه فوق كل ما ضربت راس السنين خلاص الخير قر الله قر الله وخلنا شمال غرب نسير علينا الساعة زينة حال الساعة بعد الصلاة الظهر
You know what he said, don't you?
He's criticizing your
No.
driving style.
He said he wants a hamburger at lunch.
Oh no, he's changed.
Here we go again.
Then I take a shortcut. I guess shortcuts didn't work.
Winch it?
Yeah, let's switch it out. Who said there are no roads in this desert? The problem is that there's too many to choose from. Bakit only thinks he knows where he's going.
Over there? Over?
We trust that our Bedouin guide Bakit knows where he's going to the border with Saudi Arabia, but trust has a limit, especially when you realize that we've done nothing more than go over the same place again and again and again. So we've come probably 60 kilometers. My guess is we're right in here somewhere. I think this trail, one of these big trails, was these trails right here. These Bedou trails.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So by my calculations, I think we're about 40 kilometers from the border. So let's just, I don't want to offend Bakit, but the GPS indicates we're going in the wrong direction.
Just keep going.
He has what we call BPS, the Bedouin GPS, but that doesn't work very well either. You need GPS or BBS for that?
Together. BBS better
But GPS, maybe if your batteries go bad in the head, you use GPS.
I have to.
Okay, let's go.
Good.
Get it. Yalla. Yeah, here. You need this here. You must use this. You sure?
لا والله.
We've been lucky. Neither a map, nor a GPS, nor Bakit have helped us much. There's nothing like asking a local Bedouin.
عليكم السلام.
ما يزموكا.
سالم.
سالم اخويت من راشدي. مراد صديقي ها.
السلام عليكم، كيف حالك؟
الحمد لله، كيف الحال؟
تمام شكرا.
الله يعافيكم طيبين.
كثر بركي انا.
We go to Saudi. Mecca. We go Mecca. Mecca.
لا لا
Hajj. لا لا.
مكة
ذي عندنا ريال سلام ما حد ما راح
ما شاء الله سلام. ما شاء الله مبروك مبروك مبروك.
شكرا. يا مبروك.
Look at him. A lot of black camels.
So they're expensive camels.
Aswad.
Aswad. This is black camel is good for milk and for luggage, to carry luggage, anything.
We're in one of the most remote places on Earth, and not only do we come across a Bedouin pickup truck, but also a herd of camels in search of fresh grass. According to Bakit, God has blessed us and wants us to have a drink.
تشرب حليب.
Drink.
Right.
It's good. Milk. Natural milk, just like milk.
Yeah.
The sign sent by Providence must be enjoyed, so we decide to spend the second night here.
So then Michelle, it's a spring up here.
Yeah.
Check it out.
There's a green patch in the middle.
This is natural spring?
Yeah, it's a spring.
It's borehole or natural?
Like
Natural.
Yeah.
Well, this is an oil well, and they drilled it here. This is the old oil well. In fact, it's got gauges. It's had a gauge on it. It was probably drilled, 10, 15 years ago. They did seismic out here like we showed you the other day.
Yep.
They drilled an oil well. There was no oil, but they hit water. So rather than plug it, that means cement it full. The government probably said leave it open, and it's got sulfur water, which means sulfur water means it's got to be deep. So it's probably 1,000, 2,000, maybe 3,000 meters. Somewhere in there, there's a aquifer of sulfur water, and you can see how much power there is. And that's his smell. And that's the first indication that it's a deep hole.
Ready? You want the forceful?
Full power.
Where's your rubber dog? Okay, yeah.
Listen, we're really close to this Saudi border. The GPS here says we're just almost there. So let's keep our eyes open, huh?
Roger that. I'm coming up next to you now.
Let's go and touch.
We have finally reached the border.
هذا هو الحدود. هذا اللي دخل. هذا اللي دخل داخل. هذا أمان وبس.
This is Saudi Arabia.
عربية من هناك. ذي مع أمير.
Saudi Arabia is this side. This is
سلطنة شوفها.
Oman. Oman.
سلطنة أمان. ذي هي هنا.
Sultanate of Oman.
Sultanate Oman.
Go, go, go! This is Saudi!
Wait. Is it?
Yep, it is. Okay, guys. What?
Years can go by without a drop of water falling at this place. Only winter dew provides a bit of humidity, enough to allow some plants to grow. At times, strong winds known as shamals are so powerful that they can move the dunes, erasing any trace of the roads. It's easy to understand why the Bedouins call this desert the empty quarter. We're lucky to be here at the end of November, which is the best season of the year. Our expedition keeps moving towards the east, following the imaginary border that separates Oman from Saudi Arabia. Just like before, we keep on getting stuck in the sand dozens of times.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله.
Another night in the desert. This time we respect its silence. I really like this silence and solitude. Such solitude is an invitation to think about people. Like the people I have photographed along the journey. I only regret not spending more time with them and getting to know them better, their happiness, their fears, and expectations.
Before television, it was the Bedu television.
Bedu TV.
Right, right.
Allahu Akbar! Allahu Akbar! Allahu Akbar! Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah! Allahu Akbar! Allahu Akbar! La ilaha illallah! Qum sal, salah! Qum sal!
Got around, and then let's head to the lake, and then see what we can do at the lake.
Good.
All right. So, and then it's a pretty relaxed day. Just starting out. Plenty of fuel, so no problem. But he says we're 200 kilometers from the lake. This thing says we're 16 kilometers from the lake. I think the Bedu's batteries are dead. But anyway, so listen, I think we are maybe 13, maybe 10 kilo.
10 kilo.
10 kilo. But Keith wants to take us to a little place that he thinks is a lake. Once again, we get confused and lost, and we have to resort to using pictures and maps and the GPS. 20-some kilometer stop, we should have the lake with us.
Understood, we're behind you.
Okay, we're getting it. This is a lake. This isn't a lake, just a big open expanse of desert.
According to the satellite image, yeah. The satellite image showed this area as water and this lump as an island in the middle of it.
Yeah, that will, yeah,
Good.
maybe. But if we do find fossils, then that will prove there was a lake here.
Do you think this is a fossil? Is this fossil? All right, let's go find a place to get some lunch. I was really looking forward to a bath, too.
Me 3, don't...
Ay, ay, ay.
2 more days pass by driving. For each kilometer we go ahead in the right direction, half of it goes in the wrong direction. The desert is a giant labyrinth of sand dunes with no way out. It is impossible to underestimate the deep knowledge of the Bedouins with regards to the dunes, winds, and stars, which allow them to find their way through this vast desert.
Six days after setting out from Donka, we finally get to clean the vehicles and say goodbye to our companions, Bakit, Brad, and Peter. Thanks to them, we've accomplished our main goal, to cross the Ruba Khali. The asphalt road will take us to Nizwa and Muscat, passing by dozens of oil wells.
After our rally through the desert, it becomes more interesting to read again the memories of the great Wilfred Thesiger. In the 40s, he made the great journey through the empty quarter. But unfortunately, that's impossible to repeat in modern times. We have visited some of the places he went through, but I realized that his experience and ours don't bear any comparison at all.
Make it enjoyable for me. You know, reading the book, doing the journey, come back, reading the book, says, yeah, I know that, I remember that. It's pretty cool. All right, so here we are in Nizwa. Finally, it's beautiful setting. Check out the mountains. Everything's brand new. I mean, there's a building here that's over 5 years old. So Nizwa, like every place else in Oman, is a product of the last 20 years. Entirely a product of the last 20 years. And oil. So it's amazing what happens to these old cultures when there's lots of oil found. But check it out, brand new hotels, Bunches of new hotels and shopping malls, Lexus dealerships, car dealerships. So just shocking what happens.
Today, Nizwa is a commercial town and the second tourist destination in Oman. Nothing to do with the wild and dangerous city that remained closed to foreigners only 50 years ago. The walls and the castle have been reconstructed, following the style of a standard shopping mall in the States. It's quite disappointing to see how much Nizwa has changed.
This is the main market.
We walk along the streets trying to figure out where we are, wondering how we ended up here.
You're working at sugar factory. So you live, your family's back in India? You live by yourself? Pakistan? India? Kerala?
Kerala.
You live together? In one house you live all together? Life is good here?
During the majority of our trip through Oman, Michelle and I didn't communicate more than a few words. The experience and the beauty of the Ruba Khali has left us speechless. Everything that came next, modern villages, castles, oil refineries, and Muscat, the capital of Oman, all this passed quickly through our minds without leaving an impression.
The only thing I remember well is the view of an illuminated mosque in front of the hotel room where we went to rest our legs.
The last stage of our expedition through the Arabian Peninsula takes us from Muscat to Dubai over modern highways. Very few things can surprise us anymore after covering 4,000 kilometers, traveling through all sorts of valleys, mountains, and deserts. It's been more than 3 months since we set out on our voyage from Damascus. Rather than enter by car, we decided to rent a helicopter on the outskirts of Dubai and see the Emirates from the air. The Emirates occupy a part of Arabia that is a flat, hot, and dusty desert. A flight over Dubai shows the impact of modern and extreme capitalism in this part of Arabia. Development extends its reach far beyond the coastline, creating artificial islands like this huge palm tree island. Emirati plans to expand development has become an obsession. They are a federation of 7 emirates that over 100 years ago decided to form a union to defend themselves from other hostile Arabian tribes, from piracy, and from invading countries. Power is still in the hands of the emirs, the elders of the tribes, who've ensured themselves control of the oil and gas business. They spend billions of dollars to satisfy their hopes of converting these old palm tree groves into a new mecca of capitalism.
The view from above was incredible. If it was not for the warm air of the desert, I would have thought Dubai was just another large Western city. I wonder what we can find of real interest to explore in this place. There is way too much concrete, asphalt, and glass. Maybe the most interesting subject to explore is what modernity means to Dubaitis. Perhaps real estate speculation and consuming. If that is the case, it is worth asking ourselves, what is the role played by Islam in all of this? While in other Arabian countries, Islam does not tolerate any competition with its ideology.
At moments of the trip, we felt concerned because Islam was being used as a tool to slow down progress and individual freedom. But here in the Emirates, we get the impression that Islam could be used as an item in a modern society. Luxury has penetrated deeply a nomad society that 50 years ago scarcely had a herd of camels and a few goats to survive in the shade of a palm tree. Now the former oases are the current enormous shopping malls, luxury buildings, and ubiquitous air conditioning.
So let's go. No, yeah, ski slope's right in here. This number 1 room. Check this out.
Station 3.
This place is more American than America. Do you know how much electricity this thing must use?
A lot of oil for.
Well, they got
on the engine.
They've got enough oil. Look at this.
Here we can go skiing at the shopping centers with similar conditions to those of Aspen, Colorado.
Yeah. They give you a jacket and boots, you can go in there and...
This is an obvious success, but what the hell? Excesses are committed all over the world, so why not enjoy them?
That's fun.
That was no bad, huh?
That's number 1.
That was better than expected.
Yeah.
Did you see that?
I wouldn't expect it. That was actually pretty good.
This is quite good, actually. Quite
Yeah. It's cold. Ooh. Especially after being in the desert.
It makes you feel like doing more, huh?
Yeah. A lot different than the empty quarter.
You bet.
All right, let's go skiing. Ready? Let's go to the top now.
Summer temperatures can reach up to 50 degrees Celsius. Luckily for us, in December, temperatures are a lot more pleasant, reaching around 30 degrees. Thanks to this, locals stroll along the street these days. If not, everyone would be driving their cars with full air conditioning.
When speaking of the inhabitants of the Emirates, it's necessary to distinguish between the original descendants who make up the elite of the country and the rest of the people coming mainly from the Asiatic countries and make up the great majority of the workforce. Of the 4.5 million people who live in the Emirates, 80% are immigrants, mostly from India and Pakistan, most of whom work up to 12 hours a day for fairly low wages. Some of these workers are forced to hand in their passports upon arrival. Without these passports, they won't be able to move or go back to their original countries before their contracts expire. We have gone to Abu Dhabi to visit an exposition on the past and the future of the Emirates.
Yeah, Saadiyat Island, and they're putting museums.
The exposition starts out with a retrospective look at what the country was like over 50 years ago, prior to the massive exploitation of oil and before Sheikh Zayed led the country into progress. These photographs document very well the poverty in which the grandfathers and the great-grandfathers of the current millionaires of this country had to survive.
Yeah, it's probably 60s, 70s. So, definitely that before. This is today. So that's the difference.
Nah, it's not the same place.
No, it's different.
Did they have a stock exchange?
A what?
Stock exchange?
Yeah, they got the Middle East UAE Stock Exchange.
100 years ago, it wouldn't have occurred to any Bedouin to have an exposition with models of future skyscrapers, shopping centers, huge islands, or new museums.
Here's the, I think this is the Guggenheim.
No, we're Guggenheim.
That's Guggenheim, this is the Louvre. There was nothing here. This was just a sand island, you know, a few camels, a few small, fishermen, a few small houses, stuff like that. And then this is the new plan, so it's going to be amazing. You know, the Arab Emirates, United Arab Emirates, Oman, have so much money now with oil and gas revenues coming in that they can afford to build all this in an attempt to diversify their culture away from just oil and gas into tourism and things like that. And that's what these things are for. Basically, these are also attempts for these people to tell the rest of the world, you know, we care about culture, we care about being modern, we care about being in the 21st century. And so that's what they're trying to do, in my mind. Many more changes are foreseen in the following years. They even plan to build a futuristic city sustained by solar energy. What is not planned, however, is to change the political regime. Like in Saudi Arabia, the Emirates will remain without political parties and democratic elections.
The economy of the Emirates is in the hands of the oil wells. That is true, but this has not forced anyone to abandon some traditional economic activities, such as fishing. Every morning, dozens of fishing boats line up to keep on fishing in the waters of the Persian Gulf.
One shot. But I'm telling you, I know a lot of Americans, they are not paying attention.
One of the favorite activities here is camel racing. The races gather a large number of people and are held in unique courses where owners can follow their camels driving their own cars. Today, camels race without a jockey, spurred by a small robot that whips them every time they're activated through a remote control.
And so this is 3 kilos. And it goes and it just connects the trigger. Remote control. And pulls the trigger. From the car. شوف بداية بداية. Do they? صور بداية. Okay. تعال تعال لاتك.
This is a real surrealistic sight. Camel owners following the race from their cars while whipping the animals by remote control. The winning camel is painted with saffron. As popular as camel racing is falconry. Arabs have always been fond of falcons due to their eyesight and the speed that allow them to hunt rabbits and other small animals. Any of these trained falcons cost a fortune. Not only to buy them costs much, but also to train them can become really costly.
Okay, just like that, huh? There's the bird. You ready?
Their passion for falcons is so great that in the Emirates you can find special hospitals to treat them with the most advanced medical equipment and European doctors.
This falcon has a broken feather, so one of the wing feathers is broken and we have to repair it now. Now, before we can actually repair it, we have to put the falcon in anesthesia and she will sleep very, very fast now. Yeah, you know, as a vet, always you end up in getting some birds, actually, and some kind of animals that nobody wants.
We want to close our long 4-month expedition through the Arabian Peninsula in a very special place, the Dunes Aliwa to the west of Dubai, a marvelous place that has been the end of Thesiger's great voyage to the deserts of the Ruba Khali. We want to pay tribute to voyagers such as Wilfred Thesiger, Charles Doughty, Bertram Thomas, T.E. Lawrence, all in love with the desert and its people. I remember the modesty of the Bedouins, or the nomads of the desert, who for centuries have known how to survive in a desert, tough and poverty-stricken Arabia, accompanied by their faith in a severe and all-powerful God, as severe and all-powerful as the desert itself.
The desert changes you. It transforms you. A trip like this should last forever. But our adventure through Arabia has come to its end.
End of the journey?
Yeah, this is where he stopped.
And this is
So
the
basically,
end of our own journey.
Thesiger came straight across the desert, straight across the sand dunes into Liwa.
Yeah.
The Bedouins, the authentic nomads, say that traveling never has a final destination. What really matters is not to arrive anywhere, but of the journey itself. And they are right.
So, spectacular sunset, though. Hey, the last sunset in Arabia.
The last sunset. The last sunset.
The last sunset in Arabia. This sunset right here is the same exact sunset that the Bedou saw 1,000 years ago.